Hey YouTube, what's good? Can you tell I'm in a decent mood today? So we are here for Love is Blind Season 3, Episode number 4, Meet Your Exes. So the show opens up. It's the morning after. Colleen and Matt are in the bed just as giddy, talking about how good of a time they had. She was like, you know what? You chose good. And I'm just looking at her like, girl, you really been tooting your own horn, haven't you? Haven't you, girl? Side note, my little puff, it's cute. I like it. Um, then we see Bartiz telling Nancy she was snoring, and then he like make the sounds and stuff trying to reenact her snoring or whatever, right? And then it's like he's in like a confessional type thing, and he's just like, yeah, you know, there was a consummation of the engagement, I would say. He was like, and the word she used, and I'm going to use it too, it was muy excelente. I said, oh, that's what it was? Okay. He was like, she said she was cold, she was freezing cold, and she demanded that I take my clothes off. I said, oh, that was her way of getting you naked, Bartiz, if you ain't know. And then next thing you know, she was saying, she in her confessional, she was just like, it was really, really nice. And the best part about it is that we connected emotionally first, which made last night even more explosive and better. And she was like, it was just so great to connect emotionally. And it made the sex so good. And she's like, you know, she's really she was like, I definitely felt it. Definitely felt that emotional connection with Bart after last night. And I said, okay, girl, she's so happy. And I'm so happy for them, but I'm nervous. So then we see Brennan and Alexa. Um, he tells her she was snoring real loud. They sitting up already. And he was like, you are so beautiful. So beautiful. He looking at her like they are sitting on the bed fully clothed at this point. I don't think that they did the do or whatever. And she brought up the fact. She was like, you really think I'm beautiful? He's like, yeah. She was like, well, I have done Botox. And he was like, you have? She was like, yeah. He was like, oh, I have too. She was like, so then we see that in the midst of them talking about this Botox, we hear a knock at the door. And it's just room service bringing them some breakfast. So then we go to Raven. Her and SK are outside already with the Pilates, the little Pilates circle thing that you use to work out. And she's teaching Pilates to SK, and she mentions in her confessional, like, listen, it is very important to me as it's part of my profession to stay healthy, and I really do appreciate, working out as a couple or whatever, right? She was like, basically, in being in good shape, that's one of her non-negotiables in a relationship. Like, we both got to be putting the effort in to stay in shape and stay appealing, attractive to one another. So they get on the floor, and I'm guessing they're getting ready to do like a cool down or something to that effect. And they still doing something with the Pilates assistant, the little circle. But he pauses and he starts to talk about some stuff, and she was looking at him like, and then she even says it. She was just like, okay, you having a lot of conversation, but the workout not over. Like, come on, like finish doing the workout. And then she was in her confessional like, yeah, I wore him out with this workout. This workout is not for the faint. And then he even said, he was like, woo, this thing was wearing me out, right? So then she asked, how he thought their first night together went. And they basically admit to one another, in the conversation, they were just like, yeah, it was a cool night. It was, it was what was expected. A night of talking. They talked all night. They didn't do no nasty or whatever, right? They still doing the get the, she saying she's still doing the trying to get to know him thing. So she was like, you know what though? I'm looking forward to meet the other couples tonight. And he was like, he's feeling like this is less an it's feeling less like an experiment and feeling like more real. He feel like him and Raven are meshing from the conversations and stuff that they've been having. And she's just like, yeah, I agree. But her agree didn't sound really assured. You know what I mean? It was not a very confident I agree. Um I just feel like she not feeling this man. She's not. She not. I think she when Bartiz started crying in the pod when he was across from her, and he told, and she kind of, her woman's intuition told her that she was Bartiz's second choice, and that he was gonna. She kind of felt like she was the second choice or whatever, especially from the conversation they had the day before, where he was talking about how his parents' uh relationship started to break up, what led to the catalyst for them breaking up. She was over there working out, and when the way he sounded, when he realized that she was in there working out as he was talking to her and sharing, being vulnerable with her, she knew things had changed a little for him, and she anticipated when he was talking and crying the next day or later on that day, whenever it was that it happened. I feel like she anticipated that he was going to tell her that it wasn't going to be her, so she just came out and said it first before he can say it. It's like she was like doing it for him or whatever. But in deep down, she really want Bartiste, I think, and she went with SK because he was her second choice, and she wanted to, he proposed to her, so she said yes, so she can be still on the show and see where it goes. And I'm probably guessing she knew for a fact that at some point, at that time, she knew that she was going to meet or see Bartiz because he was going to propose to whomever, and she probably had a feeling that, whomever it was, because I'm not sure if she knew it was Nancy. They was going to, see each other, and that person was going to say yeah, so that they was going to see each other during this time. So then we see Cole and Zaynab. They are walking outside and they are fighting over different the differentiation between the words good and the word great as it relates to how their night went together. She upset that he told her the night was good. She wanted him to say the night was great. Okay? Then they start playing cornhole. Then they start playing cornhole. They both have a drink in their hand as they playing it. And she was like, you know what? I can't with you and your little girly drink. Because he had his little drink in his hand. It was like a rose pink kind of color. But the thing that drove her point home is the fact that he had on one of them printed silk scarves. And he had it tied around his head like a headband, with his little curls coming out on top just a little bit. I was cracking up. I was like, wow. But she was right. I told you he gave me a little bit of zesty vibes. And they go to like the chessboard. And he starts teaching her chess and stuff. But the way he's teaching her is mad annoying and stuff like that. And I didn't I say in that last review, let's see how long his playfulness is going to be cute to her until she gets serious and wants to be serious, and he's not being serious. He's still doing the playful shit. Didn't I say that? All right. So he was just like, you know what? You can tell that she's getting annoyed at this point too. But he just was like, what do you think we can accomplish together as a couple if we actually go through with this and get married? So they get to discussing little surface things like, who's going to be the one to be cleaning up. She's supposedly a good cook. Stuff like that. Not the deeper level. This is where I want to be. I want to build this kind of finance. I want to be this in this place financially. I want this type of house. Like, I want to raise kids that are this, that, and so forth. Like, those are the deeper things. And it's crazy because when he talked to Colleen about, like, when he get into marriage with somebody, he wanted to go deeper. And he didn't pick Colleen because he said she wasn't deep enough, because she admitted that she only liked she was looking for surface level. And like I said, I feel like Colleen likes surface level because the last few relationships she's had, it only got to the surface level before they decided, when it was time to go deeper, they didn't want the relationship anymore, and they broke up with her after a few months. And he seemed to pick um Zay. I'm gonna call her Zay. He picked Zay, and Zay seems to be talking to him about things on a surface level as well. But we're gonna see how things progress. So he tells her in the midst of this conversation, he tells her so many times how passive aggressive she is, right? And then he asks her, how do you feel about getting married in 4 weeks at this very moment? Like, with what's going on with us right now in this moment. Tell me exactly how you feel about us being married in 4 weeks. And she says that, you know what, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not real sure. In this moment, I'm not sure about it. And in his confessional, he says his fear is that Zay is gonna fall out of love with him within the next 4 weeks and choose not to marry him. And then, but to me, it seems like she really is trying to work through the issues that she's seeing. She really trying to work through it, albeit in her own way, which might not match his way of working through things, or he might not see it or recognize it as that. But I feel like in her own way, she is trying to be a little bit pliable, and and compromise with him, and try to see the good and the positive in all the things, even the stuff that seems like it's not going right, like the miscommunication and stuff like that. Next we see Colleen and Matt, they hanging out talking. And she was like, you know what? I feel like if if we would have never met on this show, our paths would have never crossed. Because we don't run in the same circles, same kinds of things, places, or whatever, right? She was like, she mentions, like, she was like, because I don't think I even would find you on a dating app. But he said you wouldn't, because I'm not on any of the dating apps. I was like, oh, okay. So then they go on to toast to getting married in 30 days. Because he's still at this point is all in. So then we see Bart and Nancy. They hanging out, eating brunch outside. And like he get a little bit of food. He wastes food on his bed, like right in here. She wipes it off. When she does that, he turns and he swallows what he has in his mouth and he kisses her. And at this moment, you can see he is he's very physically attracted to her, very affectionate. And he mentions that Nancy said when they were still in the pods, Nancy, in one of their conversations, Nancy had told him, she could see herself having a great life with someone else, which was her other connection, or having an amazing life with him. And he was like, she was right. Because our connection is so strong. We are like, we haven't argued, had any differences. Like, we getting along really, really great. And the emotional and the physical connection is there for them. He was like, she was right. And I feel like we both won. We won. So then they started to have a conversation about her mentioning his age to her friends and family. And he kind of like seemed like he had an issue with that. Like, she feels ashamed about the fact that she's like 31, 32, and she's engaged to somebody that's only 25. So she was just like, you know what? I'm not going to mention it. But if they ask, if they pry, then I'm going to be honest and let them know how old you really are. But she didn't want to just bring it up and mention it because she fears their judgment or whatever about her dating someone that's younger. And she goes on to say that she is familiar with large age gaps in relationships because her father married someone who's 16 years younger than him, and her mom has gone on to marry a man that's 10 years younger than her. So both her parents are in relationships where they are at least 10 years older than their spouses. So Bart said he was like, you know what? When I proposed to you, I really meant it, and I'm taking this very, this whole experience. I'm taking it very, very serious because when I say I do, I want to mean it for forever. You know. And then they started to talk about tattoos and stuff like that. And they started discussing getting some kind of like matching tattoos and everything. So then we see SK and Raven, right? They doing like, it's outdoors. They doing like a sound therapy session. And next thing you know, you hear a snoring sound. Now I'm not sure if there was a sound that they added in, the editors of the show added in, or if there really was SK snoring like that, right? So when the therapy session is over, they wake up and he looks at Raven and was like, "How did you like it? How was it for you?" And she was like, "Well, I wouldn't know because you were snoring so loud." I was like, "Well, damn, bitch." So they go on, get up, they have lunch, and they start to talk. I'm noticing how vain and judgmental Raven really is. And I should have picked up on that when she was still in the pods. She discusses, she discusses the fact that things still seem a bit awkward and forced and everything, but she's like, you know what, it's okay because we didn't, we talked in the pods, but this coming together and getting to know each other, it's going to take time. And then I feel like she's also passive aggressive because she goes back to the fact that he naps a lot again, right? She was like, she's counting how many times he's had a nap during the day. So he starts to discuss the obvious block or guard that she has up, and he says that he has one up as well. But he's feeling like, as he's discussing this, he's saying something about like he feel like it's slowly but surely melting away. And as he's saying all this kind of stuff like this, I noticed her look away, the camera pan, and I don't know if she actually was looking away in the moments that he was saying this because we only seeing her face doing like this. And then the camera go back to him talking. Then it'll go to her doing like this, like looking away from him. So I'm not sure if she really was looking away as he was saying these things, or they caught her in other moments of looking in a different direction and edited the show to make it seem as though she not really into him. It's a lot of trickery with these shows because they edit it to give you a certain kind of a story. And I'm realizing that now as I watch this, especially with the fact that how they choose the couples they're going to follow. They always going to follow the ones that had more than one serious connection and might have told somebody no in the pods so that they can meet up and see each other and see and create the conflict there. That's the premise of the show. That's what happens. And I just realized that today as I was watching this first meet and greet. But we see Bryn and Alex next, right? So Bryn is discussing his family and his excitement for her to meet his brothers and stuff. And he was saying that one of his brothers is a redneck and very country. And so she was like, you know what? My family is super, super close. But when we talk to each other, we keep it, basically, she's saying they keep it like 100% real blunt or whatever. So things like to the outside looking in, they could think that, oh, girl, you come from a mean family. Why y'all so mean to each other? But it's just their way. That it's just how they get along. She said, but to other people, it can seem like my family's a lot. Like it's a lot going on. So then we see Bart and Nancy. They arrive to the meet and greet first. And then Brent and Alex walk in. Nancy is talking to the producers or having like a confessional like thing. And she was like, dang, Brent real tall. I mean, not Brennan. She was like, he's really, really tall, but he is nice looking, but he's definitely not my type. And I'm really happy, like really happy with Bart and how Bart looks. I'm glad Bart is mine. So then we see Matt and Colleen arrive, and then immediately they are followed by Cole and Zay. Cole looks at Colleen. Colleen actually initiates a hug, and I noticed that she hugged Brennan as well. Like she seems like the bubbly, huggable person. Like she giving out the hugs or whatever. She not standoffish or whatever, right? So after they hug, then we get Cole saying that Colleen is as attractive as he imagined her to be. And she says like he's cute, he has little blue eyes and everything. Like he's very attractive or whatever, right? And then we see SK and Raven arrive. We see Bart talking about how incredible Raven looks to the producers. He's having like a confessional. And he was like, man, she is definitely a baddie. Like, she's a smoke show. We talked about, we both were, we discussed the fact that we both were into fitness and stuff and how good we look. And that we would be the people in the room that everybody's eyes on for how good we look. Just real vain and everything. He was like, but damn, basically, she looked better than he even anticipated. So then, after all the couples greet one another, we see Nick and Vanessa. And when I look up, when I hear their voices, I look up, and the outfit that Vanessa had on, what the fuck was that? Who was your stylist? Who told you that that was a good idea to wear that? I want to know. Because that thing did absolutely nothing for your figure, Vanessa. You can do better. A whole lot better. Don't let nobody stick it to you like that no more. Don't let them stylists get you like that ever again in life. That was a one time thing. Don't let them do that to you no more. So then Nick gets to talking and he stirs up the shit with his words saying, so how is it meeting the folks that you didn't propose to or the ones that you said no to? Meet your exes. And then that's when we see Matt saying, Matt, he yells out, listen, it's cool. I only got eyes for Colleen anyway. Because we never seen Matt talking to nobody but Colleen. So the cast toast and cheers to one another. And Nick and Vanessa leave. So then we see Matt gushing to Bart about Colleen. And then Cole admits that Colleen is the type he usually goes for. And then next thing you know, and he's saying this just to the cameras for the show, like in a confessional. And then you see him kind of nervously look behind himself to make sure no one was within earshot to hear him saying that, right? Then we see Colleen and Zay. They off on the side. They dancing with each other and discussing how many times they did the sideways salsa since they been there with their mate. And we see Bart and Cole talking. Bart was like, listen, I gave Nancy 3 rounds and that was enough for her. Like she couldn't handle no more than that. And I said, well, okay, toot your horn, Bart. Toot your fucking horn. And then we see Matt chopping it up with Brent and Alex about, them as couples and what their future gonna look like. They're gonna have kids, their kids gonna play ball together, be in little league together, and they're gonna be like couple friends, like couples that hang out together and stuff like that. And then we see Matt hyping Brennan up for how smart he is, and he's telling Alexa like, you know what you got in him? This dude is fucking intelligent, like he's really smart. And we see Alexa looking like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like she looking like, I don't give a fuck what you say. I see what I see. It's given to me that Alexa really not into Brennan like she thought she was going to be. So then we see Cole tell SK and Bart, they all over on the side having a conversation. Cole was like, listen, I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. There's a disconnect between Zay and I. And then Bart was like, Maybe it's because you pictured her one way in the pods, and when you saw her, not to say that she doesn't look good, it's just not what you pictured her to be and how you pictured her to be, like in looks and how she's acting and stuff. So Cole was like, make no mistake, I'm still in love with her, but I have to adapt to who she is at her core versus what I wanted her to be based on what she showed me in the pods, if that makes sense. And I was like, you know what? I get it. I get what you're saying, Cole. Because people can present themselves in one way, so you're going to think, oh, this how they're going to be. All right, this how they are. And then when you get outside the pods, and you see them in real life, and you see their facial expressions and stuff, like, he even gave an example of, she showed the fact that she was passive aggressive and inside the pods, and it came off as playful, witty banter. And he imagined that when she was saying these things, she would have a smile on her face, like, you know, she's playing and she's joking. But in person, in reality, she's not smiling. She has the serious face on. So he says, right? And then he was like mentioning her passive aggressiveness once again, and that maybe that might be how she likes to banter and play, but it's definitely not fun for him. Like, he ain't with that shit. So then at the same time they talking, we see Zay and Colleen having the exact same discussion. And then Colleen was like, you know what, we look so cute together. Colleen told Zay, you know what, y'all look so cute together. So don't let the little things that's been happening last few hours get in your head. So we saw Bart tell Cole that he and Nancy been getting along great. They are very, very connected. Like, they haven't argued or anything, and then if they have like anything that, like, if they have an issue with anything or something that concerns them, they sit down like two mature adults and actually discuss it and iron it out like right then and there or whatever, right? So I was like, he definitely saying yes when it come. He even said it. He was like, when it come time to say, when they ask us, to get married and stuff, he was like, I'm definitely saying yes. So then we get Cole talking about their physical attraction to one another. So he was just like, me, um, Cole says that he kind of like he sense and feels a physical connection with Colleen, more of a physical connection with Colleen than he does with Zay. And he feels like him and Zay's emotional connection is there, but the physical connection is just not as strong. So SK was like, you know what? I relate to that because it's the same for he and Raven. Like, he says the first night we sat on opposite ends of the couch from one another. And Bart in his confessional, like, damn, it's not supposed to be like that the first night. And then he mentions, you know what? Like, Bart said that in the confessional, but to the guys, he was just like, you know what? Raven told me that I was her number one and that you was her number two, SK. I'm like, oh shit, stirring the pot. Stirring the motherfucking pot. So then we see Alex, and she's talking, and she was just like, you know what? I think she was talking to Nancy at the time, or Zay, I forget. But she was just like, she used an analogy of, being in an ice cream store and you try all the different flavors before you decide on the one that you want. And that's how she views relationships. Like, before I settle with the one, I gotta try all the different flavors, all the things that's out there at my disposal before I say, you know what, I'm gonna pick and settle with this person. So we see Matt telling the guys that, his biggest fear right now, and he even told Colleen this, is that I give her 1,000% of myself, and she make a fucking fool of me and play me, and won't marry me. You know. He said, Cole was like, so you feel like the moment she says I do, the fear is going to be gone. And Matt was like, yeah, I said, Cole gave him a question to make him think, and he was so quick to say, yeah, but if you got those insecurities now, saying I do is not going to change the fact that you are insecure about something. So then we see Cole lie and tell Zay that he and the guys have just been mm. Yeah, we see Cole lie. He tells Zay, "Oh, me and the guys, we was just discussing sports and stuff." He mentioned the fact that he feels just seeing Colin, he feels more physically attracted to her than he does to Zay, and then he feels like being honest. Him and Zay don't have. He says that he feel like they have an emotional connection more so than a physical one. But to me, it's giving y'all don't have an emotional connection. Y'all only have a physical one, for real, for real. When you think about it, because y'all don't seem to be meshing. Like, it's a lot going on. So then we see Raven talk about the hype about Bart and his physical appearance. She was like, she built up in her mind how she felt like he was going to look and all that kind of stuff. And she was like, child, the hype is real, right? And then we see him talking about he talks to her and stuff, and then when he talks to in the confessional, he was just like, you know what, um, I feel like we can exchange numbers, and I can connect with her in real life and see how things go. He was like, even though I feel like I closed that romantic chapter when we were still in the past, so it's not going to be that, but we can still, basically be friends. I said, yeah, all right. That's your way of getting your fucking foot in the door so you can see and weigh your options. Ain't nobody stupid, Bart. So then we see him saying, oh, like, that little meme or Jeff, 5 minutes later. This is Bart right now. 5 minutes later. Now he gonna say, you know what? I regret cutting her off so fast while we was in the pods. I do. Now that I see her and see how she looks, I truly regret not giving it a chance to see where else it could go before I made my decision. And then we see him doing a whole lot of drinking to mask his feelings and his regret and the fact that he's attracted way more to Raven now that he sees her in the flesh. We see Nancy sitting at the end of the bar away from the group. She's eating some bacon wrapped scallops and she offers him some, and he was like, no. Like, he's still over there, he's trying to drink. He's saying, get me a drink, such and such and such. And then we see Raven getting him the drink, and somebody even said it. Raven, you don't get him the drink? While SK is standing there as well. And I was like, damn, look at Nancy. She over there enjoying the food all by herself and everybody else over here at the end of the bar doing shots. So we see Colleen and Nancy on the side, and they connected as they recall their conversation to Bart. They was like talking about how they they um they gonna move forward being women in their early 30s that are engaged to men that's like 25 years old. So we see Bart mention SK and Raven to Nancy. At this point, they back in their room and they talking. So it's Bart and Nancy. And no. Yeah. Him and Nancy in the room. They in the bed talking. So he mentions to Nancy, he was like, listen, man, SK was talking about our experiences the first night here, right? And Nancy, he told Nancy, um move to the other side of the bed, like move all the way to the edge of the bed. And so she did, and he moved to his side. He was like, yeah, that's how he said that him and Raven was that first night on the couch. Like, he was like, who does that? If you're attracted to somebody and you agreed to marry somebody, you would be like close up getting to know them. Like, why would you be on opposite ends? He was like, yeah, that's how they said they was or whatever, right? And he was like, Nancy was like, yeah, SK made it to my top four, but when I saw him in person, I wasn't feeling him physically, the physical appearance. She was like, so I'm especially happy that I decided to pursue you, Bart, or whatever, right? Bart gonna holler, well, it was the opposite for me. I said, oh shit, he really gonna tell her. He was like, when I saw Raven, and he tells her verbatim what he said to the cameras in that confessional. He was like, listen, I saw her, I said, damn, she is smoking hot. Like, we had already had conversations about how hot we both probably were with us being people that's into working out and being in the gym on a regular basis. And we had already discussed that we the people that would be in the room that everybody's staring at, talking about how good we look or whatever, right? He was like, whew, she is smoking hot. He was like, you know, Nancy, I literally cried about the decision I had to make in the pause. And one of the men mentioned it at the meet and greet that Bart was one of the men that actually cried in front of everybody about his decision, right? And he was like, you know, I got feelings for both of y'all right now. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And he was just like, but my feelings for you are way stronger, and my gut decision was to go with you, so I'm gonna stick with my gut and be with you. He was like, I gotta trust my gut on this. So he looks at her after he said all this shit, and you can see her face and the mood change on her face, right? He will look at her and say, so if my is my honesty right now about how I'm feeling, does it bother you? And he was like, how you feeling about me being honest or whatever? She was like, I'm okay. And I'm saying, no, he said, are you okay? You know, the fact that I'm being honest. And she was just like, yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, you's a fucking lie. You bothered by that shit. You can see it all in your energy, how your energy changed, how your face it changed. And then in the confessional, she admits it. She was like, listen, she's pissed. And she was like, if he wanted a tall, statuesque woman, he should have gone to somewhere like a fitness competition or bodybuilding competition or something like that, where he could meet that type of a woman and not get on a show that might possibly match him to somebody who's the complete opposite of what he's attracted to physically. I said, oh Lord, Nancy feeling away real, real bad. And that concludes the episode, right? So then we get like a little 4-minute super trailer of what's to come. And so in the upcoming episodes, we're going to see cultural differences between Raven and SK. Zay and Cole are going to be in a dance studio dancing. I'm guessing practicing their first dance for their wedding day. I'm guessing. We're going to see Alex's family having dinner with Brennan to meet Brennan. And I'm guessing it's Alex's sister. She going to be grilling the hell out of Brennan. Then we're going to see Brennan's mom sitting with Alex and telling her, you know, when Brennan gets scared, he tends to run. So best be careful of that. Like, be mindful of that, right? We see Bart in the pool, and I'm guessing this is gonna be like another meetup where the people that was rejected gonna come and meet and all that. Cause we see Bart and Raven in the pool, and he tell her, I was very impressed once I saw you in person at the meet and greet. And then we see him and Nancy in their apartment or whatever, and he's telling her that looks do matter. And we see her in confessional saying, you know, no, we don't see her in confessional. We think it's a confessional. And it's her saying it's like hard as fuck when you feeling like the person that you in love with don't even love you back anymore. And next thing we see Andrew sitting across from her like, wow. I said, ooh, she met up with Andrew and told him this. He was like, you know what? I find you fucking beautiful. So then we see Colleen and Cole talking. And he's saying, he was like, yeah. No, we see Colleen and Cole talking in the pool. And he was like, I am physically, I feel physically connected to you and only emotionally connected to Zay. I'm like, oh, wow. And he was like, I'm confused now. I said, oh, shit. That's how this show goes. Then we see Matt and Colleen having a conversation. And she's crying because he's saying, like, yeah, you tell me you love me, but also it's fuck me, right? And then they show her face and she got tears coming down. I'm like, oh shit, she done must have met up with Cole and wanna be messing around with Cole too or something, I'm guessing. Then in another scene we see him saying, and I don't know who he talking to, he was like, there's no way I could ever marry somebody like that. And after that scene played, I said, fuck, we need context because he might not even been referring to Colleen when he said that. We don't know what he was referring to, who he was referring to with that part. Because we don't see who he's talking to in that moment. We just see him say that one little thing. Then we see somebody's brother going off at one of the weddings. I'm guessing it's Nancy's brother. They look like they could be related to Nancy. Because you can see him saying, he yelling. He like, bring us out here and waste our motherfucking time. And then that's the end of the super trailer. So that's the end of episode number 4. Meet Meet the Exes is what it was called. Not Meet and Greet. Meet the Exes. What y'all thinking? Um, I think Bart is about to break my little hopeless romantic heart as well as Nancy's heart. Because Nancy really was all in on him. And it's looking like he want to go for Raven. And honestly, it seems like Raven want to be with him too. She not into SK. She forcing it. Cause that scene, just that little snippet we saw, the scene with her sitting down with his mom and maybe one of his siblings eating. It looked like they eating fufu and some kind of stew. And it's the conversation of they eat with their hands. And with the African food, with the fufu and stuff, the fufu is like a dough and you take it and you pick up, you get some stew and a fufu together, like you scoop it like this, and you put it in your mouth, and you don't chew, they swallow. And she's like, so you don't chew? So I can't pick this up with a fork and eat it? And the mother has a face like, listen, little bitch. Yeah. Outside of the fact that she's not even attracted to SK, I don't believe. It's the fact that, like, she's not physically attracted to him. She's not gonna convince me otherwise. But it's the fact of these cultural differences. Like, whew, we in for a ride, y'all. I'm thinking. We in for a ride. I hope y'all enjoyed this review. This one is longer than the one, 10 minutes longer than the last one, but let me save it and get this up to y'all on the tizzy. Don't forget to click the like button on your way in or on your way out. Get in the comments and let's talk about the show if you're watching it or whatever. And your predictions and if anything that you predicted already kind of like manifested with the show. I see y'all in the next one. I have not watched episodes 5, 6, 7, or whatever is up right now, so I noticed that they were automatically downloaded on my in my Netflix app. Um, so I'm gonna watch those and get back to y'all later in the week and maybe this weekend. And I'll see y'all next time around for Love is Blind Season 3. Alright, peace y'all.